Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melissa and my channel is all about psychiatric drug withdrawal reactions and recovery, and I like to offer different perspectives and ways that help people get through this awful experience, because the path to recovery, there's different ways to approach it and different things that work for different people. So that's what I like to explore here and just talk about commonly asked about things and topics that come up over and over again in my conversations with people. So today's video is going to be about the anger, and it is such a predominant emotion in this experience, but I want to talk specifically about the fact that you have to move through the anger of what has happened to you. So I've made another video a while back about sort of the dual or two layers of the emotional experience in withdrawal. There's the chemical aspect of it. So a lot of people have what they call chemical rage, chemical fear, chemical terror, those things. And if you've never experienced that, which people outside of withdrawal really haven't, it's hard to explain or describe that to someone. But if you're in this experience, you likely know what I'm talking about. So I'm not referencing that part of the anger in this video. It's about moving through the anger about what happened, because this experience is so unique in the sense that it was completely preventable. It was avoidable, but we weren't given informed consent. The doctors that were helping us get on these drugs or off these drugs didn't know hyperbolic tapering, safe tapering practices, didn't warn us about dependence, withdrawal. I certainly wasn't given any of that information when I was prescribed my first antidepressant 14 years ago. In fact, the opposite. He said that it's not like a benzo. It's not going to be difficult to get off of. So there's that sort of injustice aspect to it, on top of everything else. And I want to say that there are people who really get stuck in this, and that I've talked to over the years that just go over and over in their heads and in conversations. I just can't believe this happened. I'm so angry. I'm so angry at myself. I'm so angry at doctors. I'm so angry at pharma, God, my family, my pharmacist, whoever it might be. And it's a really important thing to move through. So I'm not talking about denial, and I'm not talking about letting people off the hook, so to speak, because people have commented when I've said things like this in the past, like, well, how am I supposed to just accept this? You know, that's not right. But it's like that saying goes, when you don't forgive or when you stay stuck in that anger pattern, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I think they're talking about forgiveness in that aspect. I just looked it up and it said, I guess the Buddha once said that hatred was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And talking about resentments, and people get very resentful, and it's understandable because it is an injustice. And it's not like when you choose to, say, do illicit drugs or drink excessively, when very likely you know the risk of that. You're choosing to do it anyway. Whereas with this, you're not told about the risks. You're not even aware that there is any risk. A lot of times people don't even know what kind of drug they're even taking. Like, I've talked to countless people who have been prescribed benzodiazepines and don't even know that what they're taking is a benzodiazepine, or if they do know that, they don't know what that means. So they're not given any of the informed consent and risks, and that's a big difference. And so there's a lot of injustice, which builds into resentment, hatred, anger, a lot of it. And I've alluded a lot of this experience to grief, where there are stages and steps to go through, and there's no right or wrong way to do it, but eventually getting to a place of acceptance and essentially forgiveness is a good place to get to, because again, it relieves that whole aspect of drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. It's very difficult to get to, but it's necessary, in my opinion, because staying stuck in that, you're the one at the end of the day that is suffering the most, because nothing is changing as far as what's happened with the doctor or pharma, or whoever the anger is directed at. You're the one that is ultimately suffering for holding on to that. You know, keep being stuck in anger and resentment keeps you and makes you sick in a lot of ways. And so that's an important thing to move through. And truthfully, like, you can't change what has happened. So you can only change what you do moving forward. Does that make you in control of the symptoms? No. But like I said in the last video, it's not about, like, you can't control the symptoms, but you can control your actions moving forward and your decision to move through or past the anger and move forward. And that's not the same as condoning bad behavior. It doesn't mean you're letting people off the hook. And there's still it's still good and okay to advocate and make awareness about this. Is a huge problem that people it needs to be prevented from happening to other people. So there's nothing wrong with advocating, fighting, building a platform to spread awareness but that's very different than holding on to the anger and resentment. And when I talk to people one-on-one when I'm coaching, I liken it to, or one thing that I find like kind of solace in a weird way, is I've always been a huge fan of true crime. It's one of my favorite genres of TV shows to watch. I stopped watching a lot of it when I was in my withdrawal, but now I'm back to, it's just something that it fascinates me. And one of the things that reminds me in those shows a lot of the withdrawal experience is the injustice and what happens after that. Because if you think about it, victims of crimes, like violent crimes, and their families, I mean, those people are they're the ultimate victims. I mean, their family members, friends, children's lives were taken at the hands of someone else. And so again, obviously a lot of injustice. It's not like, it's hard enough when someone gets sick and you kind of know potentially what the outcome might be and you prepare for that. This is happening in the blink of an eye and nobody's prepared for it. And it's amazing to me when I watch the stories of these people's families and how they have to go through this horrific, not only grief process, but the justice system process, and also the forgiveness, because it's incredible how these families eventually rise above and then forgive the person who took their family member away. But then they also, a lot of them will go on to become motivational speakers, write books, pass new laws. It's incredible how they turn the worst experience of their life into this empowering way forward. And so I like to see this as the same way. You know, for a long time, a lot of people feel like victims, rightfully so. But then at a certain point, it's really important to get out of that mindset and move forward. Forgive whoever you're most angry at, or it could be multiple people or entities, and then decide on a path forward, whether you want to become a coach, an advocate, write a book, spread awareness, or you just want to leave that experience as a better person, or you want to just start enjoying your life more, taking less for granted, taking better care of your health, seeing things from a different perspective, enjoying things more, small things, swearing you'll never take for granted the little things, your peace ever again, your sleep, all of these things. I mean, all of those are okay to do. It just depends on the person. Some people want to come back and stay in this community, as I have, and other people don't, and both of them are okay. But I do think this is important. And again, there's no right way to do this, but I think it's important to eventually get to that place and just decide, you know what, this sucks. It happened to me, but I'm going to choose a different path forward, essentially, and choose to forgive and move past sort of that hatred. And I want to say too that anger can be a very powerful emotion to keep you going. And I have conversations about this as well. So not in the sense of staying stuck in the anger of like being a victim, essentially, but using that anger to drive you to keep going. So I talk about in my own experience, or have talked about my anger a lot. I mean, I had anger towards a lot of, like, God was a big one for me. Pharma was a big one for me. And so I just, in those times when I was just so angry, I would say, you know what, I'm going to use this anger to keep pushing forward, because they're not going to take my life from me, essentially. They've already stolen enough from the withdrawal, like during the withdrawal experience, but I'm not going to die because of this. I'm going to use that anger to drive me to fight this. And sometimes you're digging really deep for that, but when the anger comes, use it to propel you into, they're not going to take my life from me, and screw them, essentially. Like I feel like they did this to me, but I'm gonna, again, use that energy of anger to continue to fight this, spread awareness, whatever you choose to do with it. It can be a very powerful sort of propulsion forward in your fight through withdrawal. So use that to your advantage, essentially. Like when you get so angry, like there were times when I would like pound the table and being like, you're not, like right now, yes, I feel like you have me, but you're not going to always have me. And I am not going to lose this battle. I'm going to fight no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard I have to fight. And it was empowering in a way. It felt like the anger was being used in a good way. So again, that's something that I think is really important to do. And again, I try to offer all different perspectives on this channel and things that have helped people. And so let me know your thoughts on this. Do you find yourself angry, really angry? Most people do, in my experience. Do you feel stuck in that anger? Or have you come to a kind of a peaceful place where you're like, I realize I can't change the past, but I can change the future. You know, I can go through this experience, never give up, and then eventually use it to do something good, whether it's back in this community or just in your own life moving forward. So let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.